very good morning, everyone, and also all those happy Mother's Day. I know today is a special Mother's Day, so therefore we have special talk on that. But let's do the meditation first. I'm glad you can all join me and your mother and all mother sentient beings, for whose sake, take a couple of moments to gather our thoughts and collect our intention before doing the meditation. So we will, as usual, we will do the chanting of the refuge prayers, which is to renew our sense of amazing confidence and faith, and a reminder to turn to the way of the Buddha, the enlightened way, to turn to compassion and peace and tolerance and non-violence in every life difficult situations. So it is to remind that we do the formal refuge prayer, followed by the four immeasurables. So those who know, please join me. Those who don't know, just simply also join me with your hands at the heart and try to secure the place of where you are sitting to be free of any disturbances, preferably of no one and nothing for a good 45 minutes of the meditation, and then followed by the talk of the same length. So with this, we will dedicate our meditation today so that we can learn to be kind to all sentient beings, starting with our own mother. And so, therefore, this has a great cause. O Zanje Jada Zoje Jonala Janja Bardo Dane Jazoje Dage Jinzoje Bezanamanje Nala Benje Zanje Nabarajo Zanje Jada Zoje Jonala La Chanja Bardo Dane Jazoje Dage Janzoje Bezanamanje Dala Benje Zanje Dubarajo Inda Buddha Dharma Zanga Ade Revite Laideme Babe Java Jeve Handala Mere Buddha to Zemje Damje Deva Dain Deve Judain Dembara Juroje Donga Da Donga Je Judain Dawara Juroje Donga Mebe Deva Da Me Dawa Juroje Nyere Jada Nyedan Deve Danya La Neba Yoje Mehobis happiness and the cause of happiness, may they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering, may they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May all beings experience of happiness and a cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know apart from happiness that know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. So now we will do the meditation. Meditation really means to be with. So you should really be with yourself by observing what I call 4 stillnesses. The first is stillness of your room, where everything is completely placed free, made free for you to sit still. So no objects or people coming in and going, no activities. Try to secure a very peaceful, still room. And then second stillness is sitting your body in a correct posture, that is that you keep still and hold the vigil. For instance, I will hold my mindfulness to sit still. So the stillness, first I will keep my body still. Body is kept still if your mind is able to guard it and then delegate it and then help it to correct when it's losing the posture, the stillness. Third stillness is your gaze, your eyes. Your eyes shouldn't be blinking or widely opening or tightly shut, but half closed. Half open, I should say. Half open, so look straight, a couple of feet in front of you on the floor, and a very peaceful, serene, loving, calm, and peaceful gaze. So that's the third stillness. And the fourth stillness is your attention, your actual focus that you will do. So in this, we will do the meditation in 3 slots. First slots of time, your objects of attention is posture itself. So not just placidly sitting still, but you actively position your body from the feet all the way to the crown. Have this sense of stillness, of stability of earth. Second is that you have to have balance, so that your posture isn't too stiff. Even though it's still, it shouldn't be stiff and rigid. If it is, relax a little bit. If your posture is little slack, you exert effort to correct the posture, so that's the balance. And third quality is the awareness. The awareness is keeping the back straight, and of course your hands on the lap is balance, just your balance. Keeping the spine straight is the awareness. Awareness represents fire, and so you're aware, or you're checking the posture on the way up and way down, and where the parts of the body needs to slowly improve the posture, slowly do so while you're erecting the back. As you scan your posture all the way from the feet to on the crown, and then you have this fourth quality is awareness. Awareness of all of that, aware of how long, carefully paced, not hurried, not too slow, all the way you scan up. And then just gently reverse the scanning down. So you're doing the posture, you know each postures, the symbol of the postures, and check and correct the posture and feel the quality of stability of earth, the balance of the water, awareness of the fire, and insight of the air element. So in this way, scan your body up and down for a good 6 loops around. I call it 1 bout of effort. After every 6 rounds, take a sharp, short mini break. After that, again, scan the posture, the doing, the knowing, checking, and the correcting, and then feeling the posture. So in this way, you scan up and down. After every 6 rounds, take a short mini break, and then again, sit in the posture. So I leave you to it for the first slot of time. keeping your posture in good order as you have all been guarding that during the last slot of time. Now, during this time, you keep all the stillness of everything, the body, the gaze of eyes, and the room and cell. And now fourth one rather, is the stillness of attention. This time your attention should be one-pointedly focused on your breath. So stillness means one-pointed. So you one-pointedly inhale, knowingly inhale, see the oxygen coming, all the healing properties, with all the goodness you can bring in with the oxygen, and feel inspired. And this way stay with the inhalation. As the oxygen goes into the chest and lung, just imagine it permeates and go into the bloodstreams. It promotes the wellness and healing and rejuvenates your whole mind and body and spirit. With this mind, hold the breath. Spread the breath in the chest and everywhere. And then as you breathe out, slowly bring out any tension in the body, worries, fears, anything, suffering of the world. Breathe out without holding in your mind. Just breathe out with oxygen. So the carbon as you release. And this way you exhale. So in this way, stay with the inhalation when you're inhaling, staying with the retention when you're holding the breath, and then stay with the exhalation when you're breathing out. Each of them qualifyingly do them to inspire when you inhale, to rejuvenate when you hold the breath, to release and let go when you exhale. So do 6 rounds, and after every 6 rounds, then take a mini break. So in this way, during the second slot of time, you remain still in the posture, good gaze of the eyes. Make sure you do not forget to do the breathing, know what you're supposed to be thinking, feel the effect, and in this way, keep your attention so focused and time your duration of the battle effort no more than 6 rounds. After every 6 rounds, take a mini break. Don't let the mind wander off or go dull or forgetful or lazy. Keep the posture correct. Stay calmly abiding in this really mindfulness of your own breath. Mindfully holding your three stillness of the object, the environment, the posture, and the gaze of eyes. Now the fourth stillness in this time is one-pointedly focusing your attention, not only doing good qualified round of breath, but dutifully counting without losing the count, without compromising the actual quantity, so the quality of your in-breath and retention breath, exhalation, and then count them at the end of each exhalation, mentally 1 and 2 and so on, up to say 21. And if most likely you succeed to reach that without losing the count, then take a mini break when you reach the 21. Should you be distracted in the halfway or somewhere, even without being distracted by the distraction, just use it to take a useful mini break and then start again. If you succeed to reach the top of 21 without losing the count, try to increase the sharpness and resolution of every round of breath, and then try reverse counting, starting with 21 for the first round. Once you finish that, and call 20, and then do the next. When you inhale, retain, exhale. Not only do, but know and see and feel each effect of the three segments of round of breath. When you finish that, then count 19. So in this way, stay very focused and attentive, mindfully staying with the forward and reverse counting of qualified round of breath. to the intelligent hybrid position of it, the Yatandandara Agrelo and common goals. So thank you for joining with the meditation. Of course, meditation is, of course, best done when you don't have to look at a screen and someone leading you, but look at screen in your own mind and doing it. But of course, during this time, we are doing this, guiding this meditation as part of our regular tradition. So now today's topic of the talk is motherhood in Buddhism, and mother in Buddhism. So because today is a Mother's Day, I don't know when this was introduced internationally, but the role of mother in Buddhism features very important. So I will try to address this topic of remembering our mother and her kindness and how to develop, reconcile. If some people have difficulties with their mother, they need to reconcile. Because if they don't reconcile, that is probably many of the problems in their life is a repetition of that. So in the context of, I would like to give this talk in context of the Four Noble Truths. Truth of suffering, where it's like truth of suffering is the suffering that is we have to do with our mother. Quite a lot of people still are suffering with the mother. Their problem is to do with the mother, and they think their mother is the problem, and so therefore their life is somewhat damaged by that suffering of to do with the mother, and partly sure. Mother has a role to do. So that's the truth of suffering. The truth of origin of the suffering that one has with the mother is not reconciling with the mother, not repaying kindness, not realizing her suffering, not realizing her sacrifice, and our being selfish and not seeing what our mothers gave, but we always see what we didn't get from our mother. So this greed and self-centeredness is the true origin of the suffering to do with one's mother, and then the remembering the kindness of mother and so on, and wanting to practice reconciling with the mother is of course the truth of the noble truth of the path. That because you will be able to try to practice right attitudes with loving kindness, so much of the talk will go on that, and hopefully there will be truth of cessation. Cessation is that there is no longer the same problem and anger or resentment and guilt to do with the mother. But in relation to that, first I would like to just go back to the Buddha and his mother. When the Buddha was when Buddha was born, when he was barely a week old. I can't say a week year old. He was just 1 week old or 1 week young. His mother passed away, and so therefore Buddha did not really have a actual lot of time to spend his time with his mother. He probably knew that when he chose to conceive the time when he did. So nevertheless, it is said that when Buddha was meditating, just before a couple of weeks or days before his attainment of enlightenment, some of the devas informed the Buddha's mother, who she has been reborn in the heaven of the 33 realm God, informed her saying that your son has deserted your palace and deserted your husband, and he has not fulfilled the wishes and expectation of the parents and his wife. He has abandoned the child and wife, and he's now about to die of starvation. And so therefore, when the mother from the heaven of 33 realms looked down, she also could see that her Prince Siddhartha has indeed is emaciated, and body has become so thin and weak, and sitting under a tree, almost looks like a near to skeleton. So she cried and wept, it is said. And when she cried, it said the tear dropped on Buddha's lap. And it is then the Buddha broke silence and told his mother that, Mom, please do not be ill-informed by the devas, but I'm about to win enlightenment in a very shortly, so I will visit you. So that is the story. And then not so long after his attainment enlightenment and turning the wheel of Dharma and Sarnath, he actually then visited. He told Ananda and his disciples that he has to go to teach his mother. And then he went to the heaven of 33 realm God for 3 months. 3 months to repay her kindness, and then gave the Abhidharma and other teaching to the heaven of the 33 realm gods, including his mother. So that's an example of how Buddha interrupted from his 3 months abbatial leave from this world, and then he went and taught the Abhidharma to his mother. So that is the life of Buddha. And so also goes with I can remember that great Sakyapandita in 13th century, when his mother was very ill and cannot really suffering a lot with her illnesses and could not spend a good night's sleep, or day seems very long and so on. He also, he was, as a celebrated Buddhist monk and teacher, he wrote this special book called Game of Rebirth. These days the book is called Game of Rebirth, but actually it was how to entertain his mother, teaching her the Buddhist path and stages of enlightenment. And so since subsequently his writing has become a game, board game in Tibetan Buddhism. And a couple of American scholars, Tibetan Buddhist scholars, have turned that writing into a text called Game of Rebirth in order to teach his mother to repay her kindness. So all the great masters have done a lot of great work. So today I'm going to really help you to focus on how you and I also, as a child of our mother, can best learn to approach our perception of mother and change by reflecting on her kindness. First of all, it's important to call my mother very lovingly and and say my kind mother, and if you can't say that you're my kind mother, just try to see her face. Just try to remember the times that she's been very kind, and just remember the time that she has become very, very old, and then how many suffering from the day that she conceived you. What must have, how delighted must she have been as she have found a gem or whatever. So our mother, from the very day that she conceived us in her womb, she was willing to forbear all hardships, physical hardships, emotional hardships, as well as financial constraint, as whatever professional kind of risking the sacrifice she had to make. Quite a lot of women, when they become pregnant, they basically have to give up their career or give up their professions, and all mothers have done that. So therefore, try to imagine all what a physical and emotional and financial difficulties our mother would have gone through during the first initial time when we conceive in her womb. Almost she put her life at online, so to speak. She definitely put her life online so that she can bear us and bring up in this world. So therefore, it's very important to remember what takes to become a biological mother. Just carrying the baby for 9 months and 10 days, to be exact, according to the third Karmapa, who also wrote a very beautiful poem about confessing all the sufferings of mother, who he knows that is partly due to him being her child. And he says, "My mother, you carried me 9 months and 10 days in your body. With, ever increasing weight of my body has completely sort of sagged your body and jeopardized your other activities in life. But nevertheless, you put your life online, and you voluntarily accepted all the sufferings to me to be born in this world. Then, from the moment that you were born, we are born, even though we were very, very helpless." But she completely, embraced our body with her warmth of her body, and cleaned the dirt and filth and snot and or urine or whatever we may sort of come out of waste of our body. She would clean it, wipe it, and do anything, put in her warm arms and look with the kind eyes and call with the very sweet names, and that she wouldn't even drink her own warm food or drink, but instead she would rather delay them until we are totally comforted or until we are settled down, and breastfeed us all her physical nutrients, strength, whatever strength and energy she has. Even that she would rather let all the bodily energy of hers, she would breastfeed us, and that wasn't just for a day, just for 2 days or one night. Continuously for 2 to 3 years, she continued to hold us. She wouldn't dare to go out even for a day, even for a couple of hours, as we were more precious than her own life. What one of the Tibetan poets says, that we were treated as her own piece of heart, and to try all sorts of ways to keep us from danger and protect us from cold and heat, and never would dare to part from a moment. She would do all kinds of things so that the solid food is not easy to swallow, are mashed with our fingers, with the things, and then try to feed us, even though we are not cooperative to do that. She fed us slowly, whatever, even though we can just lie down wherever we put, she would not leave us alone. She would constantly keep on watch so that she wouldn't dare to do anything for her. She became the constant carer, constant guard, constant sort of like a herder. Like if it's an animal, you're constantly herding them. We become the most helpless thing that her life has found, but most precious, and she therefore has sacrificed all her time and enjoyment and activities and interests, but completely giving us to the food and clothes, warmth, and not letting us to face any hardships, whatever. She even though we couldn't understand a single word, she would still speak tirelessly many words. A conversation, it's one-way conversation, but she just the way we look, way we smile, that would be the only comfort she has. But she would constantly talk, constantly sing, constantly tell stories, and not minding her own hardships. She has brought us up in this way, that she doesn't have any time to do spiritual things, do mundane things. All of that she risked and put aside, but tirelessly, not just one day or night, that her whole life become totally busy just to bring me up. So how could possibly can we forget all the tireless work that our mother did just to give us birth and rear us until as far as we could crawl. Even though we could crawl, that wasn't enough. Even though we crawl, she wouldn't, because we can crawl now. She's afraid that we may wander off to most dangerous places and things, and therefore she would not dare to part anywhere. She would constantly keep an eye and therefore make herself like a most dedicated, most devoted companion, carer, and one who loves. She could not part for us even for a moment. So all of her heavily saved wealth or property that she didn't dare to use during her youth, she may have to do additional job, more than 2 or 3 jobs. All those little savings that she didn't dare to spend, she would buy everything that for our need, whether it's clothes, whether it's toys, whether it's other necessities that we need for us. And her whole body is constantly now losing strength, energy, shape, and form. What mentioned, all of her stress, she would not mind she would not mind to sacrifice any of that to spend, to give, so that we will not be cold or hungry or thirsty or unattended, and so on. So our mother has become basically old and frail and dependent, and sometimes emotionally very depressed and tired and sleepless, but she still would not complain a single word to us, but she rather wear all of those hardships willingly on herself, and eventually she herself would have, if some of us have as our mother still alive, then you will know she's 20, 30, 40 years older than you, probably in a nursing home, and how much attention does she get when she has become now helpless and old and lonely and need company? How much time and company and things are we and have we willing to do? So those of us whose mothers have passed away, just imagine, she has completely parted and left everything behind, and she had to go to the uncharted territory of next life in a bardo, having to carry all the karma that she created on behalf of us, just to bring us up. How much physical and emotional karma that she would have to go through. All of that, she herself has parted from this physical world, but emotionally, all the karma that she has created to bring us up, all she has to carry like a burden to go to those difficult places and spaces. So what we're talking about is we need to remember our mother's suffering, mother's sacrifices, and mother's kindness, and how much since our early days, our mother's physical body and her condition had deteriorated due to illness, aging, and later on by death, that even when her very precious body was taken to like a cemetery or something, in the West, of course, they will put in a very shiny box, so you don't see that. In a traditional, they would sort of take the body in the cemeteries and let it to be decomposed or eaten by wild animals like vultures and so on, because even if all the hairs or the pieces of body become so strewn and taken away by beings, but there's nothing she can do about. That's her life. So we have become rather like an orphan who couldn't do anything. We may love our mother, but we couldn't do a thing in terms of rescuing her from suffering of old age or sickness. And yet her kindness, when we think about it, if the responsibility responsibility fell on us, which many of you will, as a biological mother, if you have been yourself mother, just as the same amount of physical care, emotional care, and financial sacrifice you have made as a mother, your mother would have made same, if not more. Some people may have some little sad stories of not getting same situation, but even that you cannot blame your mother. Your mother's karma and her own stress and hardships and difficulties were largely due to her having taken up the liberty to give all of that to us. So therefore we should still remember my kind old mother, thinking that my kind old mother, when she has to part from this life, she doesn't have any merit to take, so much merit to take with us, because all of the karma and difficulties that she went through are largely cannot be shared by you or shared with anyone else. Yet all the karma that she created that are negative or whatever, she was largely her intention was just for the sake of our own well-being. So therefore, being able to think of mother is in mainly saying that some of us would have no opportunity to repay the kindness mother because she's dead already. Others, some of you, if you have your mother is still alive, it's very important to go and reconcile with us. Part of the reason that you're still very negative and miserable is because you haven't reconciled with your mother. If you haven't reconciled your mother, that is the part of the problem, that you couldn't really hold your friendship with anyone else for very long, is because you have this resentment. You basically reflect everything as you did to the mother, to everyone else, and this will keep repeating. Same goes with the father as well. So those who reconcile with the parents, and the mother in particular, and those who learn to reconcile, it's never too late. So therefore, today is a good day to how to go and reconcile with your mother. At least tell her that you have come to learn your own selfishness and not being so grateful, have not been very courteous. Apologize her, and even apologize her for the sake of peace. I'm not talking about your mother was perfect, but you didn't see her that way. It doesn't mean that your mother still was a human being. Every human being has a lot of perfect characteristic, as well as very good characteristic. So don't try to idolize anybody's mother. Anybody's mother. Every mother has her own opinion about her child as well. So therefore, every mother will be perceived differently accordingly. But those people who have the goodness to see the mother and her amount of the hardships and sacrifice that our mother has endured through, we should grow up by now and not sit on this very awkward point of view of looking and reflecting to the mother and her treatment towards oneself as being unacceptable or disrespectful or whatever it is. But even then, we should now learn to grow, that life is so short, and before she dies, go and reconcile and say, I'm sorry, I have grown to accept you as you are, and rather than trying to make sort of negative comparison with others. So therefore, being able to remember our kind mothers and mother, and see how much she's become old, become sick, and become dependent, and become maybe sad and lonely, and put yourself in her shoes and try to therefore learn to repay her kindness. When Buddha saw his mother wept even in the heaven of 33 realm, he could not bear to stay anymore, but he promised to visit her, and he did. He visited her, Buddha's mother, in the heaven of 33 realms, and then spend all those time giving teachings to her. So what is it that you can do to repair the kindness of mother? I mean, Buddha could say, my mother wasn't there when I was young because she died a week after he was born. So he had hardly known her as a biological mother. Buddha's auntie or stepmother, Prajapati Gautami, stepped in. She basically became the stepmother because she stepped in to take over the role of Maya Devi and brought him up and so on. Even then, Buddha wasn't. Buddha deliberately took all the way time to go to the heaven of 33 realms and spend the time and give the teaching. So hence we have this Buddhist festival called Buddha descending from the heaven. That's his descending from the heaven after having spent time to repair her kindness. He could not repay kindness to his mother in the same life. So you should not think it's too late to repay the kindness of your mother. Even say some of your mother have passed away. You can still go and do something. Of course, we don't know where each of our mother is reborn, but it's possible that she's still wandering in samsara, and she has no one to care for her, no one to remember her. So therefore, your karma will never go astray if you, as a child who has is orphaned by the mother's absence. Even though we are very helpless, we must still remember her kindness, who our mother is, how much older, how weak she might be in this. Even though we want to go looking for her, Shakyamuni Buddha could see where his mother is. We could not see her. We could not call her name and she will hear her. So we are completely different from Shakyamuni Buddha. We couldn't look where the mother is. We couldn't call her name and where she will answer. But nevertheless, we should still kindle our memory and remember her kindness and see how helpless we are now, but nevertheless feel indebted to remember her kindness. When you remember some people's kindness, then you definitely feel grateful. The gratitude that we are able to feel will greatly sort of warm up. Loving feeling will come from our heart. When you have loving feeling towards our mother, then you will no longer resent and develop brood ill will or talk negative things. Some people we have seen that they when they hear Buddhists talk about how to remember the kindness mother, repair kindness, they say, no, I can't remember any kindness my mother did. They become very, very hostile to the whole idea that we have to be kind to our mother. Of course, some people have that kind of karma of not having had any pleasant experience with mother or parent, and that is also to do with karma. So therefore, we shouldn't perpetuate the bad karma. We should try to modify the karma by remembering, such as Mother's Day, and try to light a candle or remember her kindness, and try to bury your ego and try to reconcile with and think of the great contribution and the kindness that she bestowed upon us. Even though many loving mother and son or child, however close, however loving they are, due to cause and condition, then no one has freedom to spend their time ever with the mother. Always you have to go when you least want to go away from your mother. You go away from her, or she went away from you. So therefore, it's almost like her heart has been taken out of her life. Yet, we have left her mother, and she can't see us. Say your mother is alive, but she can't see you because you are so busy or being successful or whatever. But still, what is success? If you don't have time for your mother, your success is jeopardizing your well-being. So your material wealth is successful. People don't spend time when the parents are old old or sick or lonely, and then they leave it until last minute, and then they have a lot of guilt after. A lot of people's depression is because they didn't do the right things to the parents, to the mother, while they need them. While the most pertinent time to repay kindness, when they're sick and lonely and old, that time, what is your success means? If she can't barely see you or spend quality time with her, even when you spend time with her, you argue, or you don't pay respect to her or speak courteously, lovingly to her, then there is every reason for her to be very upset. So therefore, we have to deliberately try to do the right thing, to repay the kindness of parents while they are alive and they are there. One day you will be, then when she's died or whatever, you will be depressed for a very long time. A lot of people's depression and anxiety and their volatility of their emotional instability, their minds so emotionally weak, is because they haven't really warmed up. They haven't really done the real homework to repay the kindness of one's very loving mother. Now, every single mother by nature, biologically, is kind and selfless to her child, and to remember that kindness of one's mother is very crippling. So therefore, in Buddhist teaching, emphasize the mother and remembering the mother as the first practice. Not only the mother, but see all sentient beings as mother, not just from this life, but from past lives. The difficulty that we have with certain people near and dear in this life is also past lives' mothers with whom we haven't reconciled. So therefore, reconciling with our mother and not talk about her mistakes or her wrongdoing, but think of all the sacrifice she have made. When you do that, then you can see, wow, nobody will be able to do that like my mother did to me. So therefore, I should be able to have the goodness to forgive her even of her mistakes. Who hasn't got mistakes? Yourself as a parent or mother would have same. If you suffer the same criticism that you think about your mother, what would you think? Say your son or daughter are having the same attitude as you have with your mother, negative ones. What would you think? Won't you feel my children are so ungrateful? And then she will feel completely hurt. And same is your parent going through. So the karma is very, very escalating. This karma of not reconciling with parents is very heavy. It will really get you if it already hasn't got you up. So that's why remembering the kindness of mother and doing something to her while she's alive, make sure that your visit or time that you spend is different, that she really makes to get to know that you have come to grow and become strong and grown to become wise and starting to really speak kindly and lovingly to her. Small acts of kindness we should do. Make your visit to be very, very sweet and short, very, very unimpeded by your normal behavioral reactions and rebelliousness of a child. Rather, try to be very conciliatory, speak kindly, thank her, give true credit to her for all the things you are and you have. Actually, that's true. Your education, your knowledge, your financial independence, where you are in life, you would never be there had it not been all the hard work that your parents did in your life. Being able to think this will make us to grow in a heart, and therefore you will, even when she dies or even in your old age, you will never regret not having reconciled with your parents. You will feel, it was a long journey, but in the end, I'm so glad I reconciled with my mother. You will always speak fondly of your mother, my kind old mother. You will speak like my kind mother. Some people can't even say the mother, my mother. They just say the lady. That they can't even speak kind and fondly the name of the mother. They don't say my dear mother, my kind old dear mother. They don't dare to. They can't say that. They just have this only negative and very vindictive identity which they associate. That is a very heavy karma, and this will slowly if not already, will impact your own behavior and emotional problems. If you have some emotional problems, mainly they are rooted in that inability to reconcile with your mother. Then it will reflect with your husband or with the wife or with whoever you are working with. You will always reflect them with that kind of resentment, because that is what is karma. Karma is like negative karma perpetuates negative things unless it's reconciled. But positive karma, if you create positive karma to reconcile with negative ones, then slowly you will see the kind old mother. Even your own body, your own nose, your own accent is exactly like your mother. You can see how much of your blood and your muscle and your everything is the mother's sweat and tear. So therefore, it's very important to learn to repair the kindness. To repaying kindness constitute doing things lovingly, speaking things respectfully, and feeling warm emotion, and make her feel that you will. And so therefore, when you repay the kindness, you usually do loving things. You do generous things. You do small things for her on her own terms, and don't question about who's right and who's wrong. What would she make her happy? And if she remembers you making her happy few times before she passes away, that's going to be huge healing, a remedy to all the problems. And yourself will also will attitudinally shift the amazing power of love, power of kindness, power of, even if you have refuge in the Buddha, for what? Buddha doesn't need you. You need your good heart to reconcile with your mother sentient being. Lots of people have very warm feeling towards some, but with their own home, with their own mother, or with their own immediate families and most closest one, they are treating each other and estranging each other with some resentment over small things, and let that grow like a huge problem, and not even talking to each other for days, years, months. This is the biggest problem in the materialistic Western societies, where they don't have the bond and love and respect to the elderly and parents for the hardship they have endured and they have sacrificed. They, instead of remembering them, they remember few negative episodes in their life, a childhood, and then lump the parent with that. That is the true origin of suffering. So here, therefore, to reconcile with that, one needs to practice kindness, generosity, tolerance, and compassion with our mother. And even if your mother is not around, still you can start to attitudinally change your attitude about her, not from negative to non-negative, from non-negative to positive, and then from positive it's very warm, and as a result of that, you will have ever feel indebted to your mother. Say you have a good husband, maybe you have a good wife, or maybe you got a good job, but where would you get those things without your mother has heaven breastfed you, washed you, cleaned you, not just 1 day, 2 days, for all those years until you were able to do your own thing. How many years it took before you become completely independent? Who did all the hard lifting to be where you are? So not being able to remember the kindness of mother and parents is a hell lot of an obstacle to your spiritual and emotional upliftment and contentment. If you have discontentment in life, if you're very, very unhappy in life, sure, all people have their share of it, but much of them has completely stemmed from your not reconciling with your mother. So therefore, remembering your mother only once a year on Mother's Day is, of course, is a really sad. We should remember the mother every day, and every day we should think of her kindness and compassion and all the contribution she has made to your life. and always speak kindly about her, and repay kindness of your mother to your mother. If not, try to do some other people some other elderly woman who doesn't have children, or who doesn't get much from them. Try to be kind to them, and slowly, how many mothers have been misunderstood by the children, and have been completely estranged, and they never get a call, and they never get a birthday, they never say a happy Mother Day. It's really despicable. So therefore, it's important to repay the kindness of our mother as best as one can, while, if possible, to her while she's alive here. If not, at least someone who's nearest, dearest to her, that tell her that you have reconciled with her, and you totally forgive her or apologize her, and will never think and talk in the negative way that you normally do. Try to make some shift and change in your attitude about how one thinks of one's mother. Because if you have changed your thought about your mother, then you will have the cessation of the suffering related with the mother. If you have reconciled with your mother and make peace with her, then you will be much kinder to yourself and other mothers as well. Because otherwise, there's this amazing kind of a wrong view that you continue to hold that regarding your mother, and you're not going to go. Therefore, that's the true origin of your suffering. Your suffering is not because you have all other problems, who doesn't, but fundamentally not being able to having loving feeling towards your mother. Mother is everyone's source of real joy and happiness and gratitude. Majority people's source of joy and happiness and gratitude is their mother. And sure, your husband, wife, sure, you met them only when you're 22 or whatever. But who brought you up to be able to meet such a wonderful husband or wife or job or whatever? So be considerate of where you are to be able to get what you think someone is wonderful in your life, but your mother isn't. You have not grown up at all. So that's why it's very important to effectively utilize this Mother's Day. Not only look at your mother's photo and spend a couple of moments in front of it and meditate and try to express your gratitude, love, and if necessary, forgiveness, and thank her. And if she's alive, give her a call. Really, do not wait anymore. Some of you have not called your mother. You still think she's wrong, or you think it's your fault. Either way, it's a waste of time. But try to kill the time by pick up the phone. Why hold a phone or something like that in your life that you are not reconciling with your mother? So therefore, the power of loving kindness towards your mother can make yourself doubly empowered to be able to reconcile with your mother. So that's why today's talk is not only because it's Mother's Day, but also I was thinking, because this is Vesak week, according to Theravada Buddhist calendar, which most Buddhists are Theravada in countries, they are celebrating Vesak, and last Thursday is actually the full moon, but some are still celebrating this week, and so therefore I was just reflecting on the Mother's Day and remembering about the Buddha's life. So, and also today, quite a lot of Buddhists are celebrating Vesak according to the Buddhist calendar. So it's very good to remember on that. I said I will try to respond to your comments or questions online. So if I will just look through here, because I haven't been able to do that in the past. Hello, everyone. Quite a lot of you have joined. What practice should I do if my mother in this life was not good mother, did not show love, very narcissistic, and now we are estranged? Yeah, I have just spoken about Susie. It's the mother that has been difficult to you. All of her physical suffering to bring you up, to give birth to you, and amount of those time it should and her suffering was mainly snowballed on top of not being whatever good mother we expect, but nevertheless she would have tried her best. So do not try to see her as someone who was mean and wasn't really nice at all. You may have seen that way because partly you are selfish to not to remember her sacrifice, what she made. If you try to think of what sacrifice she has made, what you as a daughter, and if you have become a mother yourself, you will know how different you have been. Maybe you have been a remarkable mother, and you're just resenting that your mother wasn't quite as good as you. But how could you be such a good mother? You have learned to become good mother because your experience of not having had a good mother. But that's your way of explaining to her, to yourself. But in the end, through your mother's suffering of not being a good mother, has actually given you the birth to be a strong woman, to give good sort of childhood to your children, and so while you might still have something to reconcile with her, but you should not delay anymore speaking to her. But I would say speak to her quickly. Probably take a couple of moments in your daily meditation and visualize your mother, look at her photo and say, Mom, look, I have been resenting and estranged you from all these years. This is not good for me. I'm happy to come and talk to you and try to make a really good contribution without further delay to talk to her and phone her or write a very nice message and try to make peace with her. Because when you are able to do that, then the suffering that we have to do with mother is not because she has been cause of suffering to you, but because suffering of you and your mother has turned you to meet with the Dharma and look at the teachings and try to turn to compassion. So your suffering has become cause of your compassion. So your mother sentient beings, and of which your mother is the primary person, is a great catalyst for you to become where you are now. Maybe you have become much more kinder and compassionate, not to be as aggressive or not kind, not generous as much as someone may have been, but nevertheless it has taught you how to meet with the Dharma and no longer waste any more time. We all empathize each other's difficult period with they have with their mother, you know, and so therefore it is important to not think poor me. But there's lots of sentient beings, lots of children who did not have a great run as their childhood because of what the mothers went through. The mother had a lot of karma and stress in her own life, beyond what she can tell us how she went through. So instead of over-personalizing me and my mother, think of many other mothers who have gone through that and felt completely helpless. So with this, it's very important to think of how best we can reconcile with the mother and try to even write to her, saying that today as Mother's Day, I have making a vow to make peace with you. Please listen to me. Can I suggest that I have taken a first step to reconcile with you, and make a little promise to yourself that next time you do visit her or see her, that you will not say these things over which you have argument, to talk about how important it is for you to make peace with her and have no longer any animosity or enmity towards her, and that will greatly delight her. You should never go into who was right or who's wrong about certain episodes, but go over how important it is for us to develop loving kindness, make peace with our mother. So it's very important not to dwell on the time that one has lost, but how not to lose any more time from here onwards. So, is there any more points here? Thank you, everybody. There's lots of you have joined us. Yeah, you definitely will be able to reconcile. It's important to use such a magic day like today on the May in the Mother's Day in the world. That what does that mean? This like we are not only able to raise the issue, but maybe one individuals among us can make a step towards the mother and no longer stay estranged. Why the 8 years has been so wasted, or 4 years or 10 years have been wasted? I remember when my cousin didn't get to lose his mother due to war, and he thought his mother was lost and dead and so on. After 40 years, he discovered, and when he really took all the liberty to go, of course, he doesn't have the problem of being estranged, but there still were a number of reasons why they were separated, whatever. But when they discovered, they just totally renew his life. His life was completely enlivened and inspired by discovering our mother again. That it's not the mother is always there. We have to discover love. We have to know how to love rather than to hate and to resent. And which one we choose? One is poison and one is medicine. So start taking medicine and try to get well. So that being the difference, we need to see. It's not sort of that we are our mother was a saint and we were just like we wouldn't see her that way. We're not saying who's right or who's wrong. We're saying how beneficial it is to hold this grudge or ill will and resentment over some issues. It's not living. This is considered death. Some prefer to be dead than having this kind of ill will, resentment over those small issues. Therefore, growing up and unfold and make a step. Write a little note to yourself in today's diary. Say, having participated in this talk, I'm going to take steps and start making peace. And whatever those small steps are, you time yourself, and slowly, I'm sure there will be a way. So, and please feel free to write to me if you necessary. I'm quite happy to help whatever I can. With this, now we were going to conclude the talk here. Thank you very much for everybody joining this talk. And I would like to remind today at 4 o'clock there is a special screening of Vesak celebration in which all Buddhist leaders community has participated, and they have recorded, and it will be live streamed at 4 o'clock by the Buddhist Council of Australia. So with that, I will conclude here. Thank you very much.